Previously, on Average Guy Adventures.
I decided to hang this one on the wall. Sportster replica tank, purple power. Sight glass kit from Lowbrow. That's the orientation. The bung shrunk. Hello and welcome back to Average Guy Adventures and the Average Guy Garage. This is episode number 7 of the 1964 Sportster build, and today I'm going to be getting into the Magneto. I'm going to be taking out some parts, I'm going to be putting some replacement parts in, adding a little bit of Farkle to it. This one should be pretty short. Let's go ahead and get right into it and get this part of the build done. Okay, for the Magneto, we've got 2 spots here that had set screws. You've got your ignition key here. This screw that right now I've got in backwards, reversed. This is holding in the insulation block. You've got your spark plug wires coming off, and you've got your cap. For the 4 bolts up here, those are an Allen wrench from me. I don't know, your Magneto may vary. So first thing you're going to do is want to take off these plug wires. Put them to the side. And then righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, these 4 bolts. There are springs underneath where the plug wires attach, so I generally hold this down as I'm unscrewing this so it doesn't pop up. The 2 set screws here on the ends, I've gotten those out right now, so I don't need to worry about them. But this one on this side had been broken off. The socket for the set screw itself, I throw up a picture and show you what it should look like and what it actually looked like for me. So I had to go and get a bolt extractor kit to get this one set screw out. I ended up using a solid carbide spade bit to drill the hole in the middle, and then with the extractor kit I tapped in the extractor and just reversed it on my drill, and it pulled it right out. The 4 bolts come out. Mine are screwed. My cap is threaded. You can see there's the springs on the coil sticking up. You can just set this to the side. Use this. I keep the cap handy just for little screws and everything like that. There's one important part that I got to get out that's going to be inside of here. There's a ball bearing that I need to get out and make sure I don't lose. So the next thing to do would be to I can take out my ignition key, or my ignition cylinder here. There's a small gap right here, and right at that gap there's a metal tab that's spring-loaded that's connected to the cylinder, to the ignition cylinder or whatever it's called. So you have to push that down, get your key, and as you turn the key, kind of like pull it, push down the tab, turn the key, and kind of try to pull that tumbler out. I've got a magnet here to get the ball bearing so I don't lose it. And there's the ball bearing there. So I take the ball bearing, put the ball bearing in my cap, put my cylinder in my cap, and set that aside so I don't kick it over. I'm going to take off the coil, or the condenser screw first. Right here. Your condenser is, if you don't know, you may know, basically just a battery. It's a capacitor, old school capacitor. It holds a charge. There's a screw with a washer there. Put that in my cap. Now I can take my condenser here and I can just move it out to the side, and I can get to my insulating block. The insulating block, I don't know what exactly it does. It insulates something from something. But mine's got a brass screw. And with the ball bearing that was in here, there's a screw, or there's a spring inside the top of this insulating block that puts tension against the ignition tumbler that pushes that ball bearing against there. The spring can come out through this hole at the top. It can't come out through the hole at the bottom, I don't believe. And then the ball bearing can't come out through this hole, but it can come out through the hole in the bottom. So move the wire for that out the way, and then the ignition block. it doesn't just lift up. The ignition block has this screw holding it in. I put mine in backwards because the screw that I had in here had been torn up. So this is just until I'm done with the assembly. I just have it in going this way so I don't have to reach around or anything. That comes out. And all these, again, they're all going into the old Magneto cap cover, whatever, so that I don't lose them. Okay, this is my insulating block, and maybe not, but the spring you can see is sticking out, and that's the hole that the ball bearing sits in to push against the tumbler. To the side, and now I have my coil is loose. It is attached all the way around. The wire for it goes from the side all the way to the front to where the points connect. They also connect to the condenser. So we've got the wire to the ends that went to the insulating block that attaches to the screw here on the points plate. Then we have the condenser, and in the order of them on right now that I have on my bike, your bike might be different, so it's not, don't quote me. It's a great shot of the back of my hand there. I have the screw with a washer on it. I have the condenser. I can take that off. I'm replacing that. I'll put my screw in my cap. Then I have the wire. I have a ground wire that goes from there to screws into the back of my my Magneto to ground the Magneto. And then I have the wire from the coil here. I'm trying not to mess with the points. I do have points. I'm not going to replace them. I'm just going to wait until I get the bike running, and I can time everything up then. But now with that screw off, I can get this wire out, which is the wire to the coil. Apparently coils don't go bad, or they shouldn't go bad, or they're very long lasting, but because this bike is 60 years old and it's been sitting for quite a while, there's some rust on the coil here where it screws in, where the set screws set. I'm going to go ahead and replace it. Here's the new coil. I got the new coil from Sporty Parts. I got all these parts for the Magneto from Sporty Parts. So before I put that in, I want to check and make sure there's nothing gunky inside. Here's a random O-ring, it looks like. There's some dust in there. Nothing major. There's no bits and parts or anything. I've read and heard about horror stories where people have gotten the coil out and the Magneto's been full of water. But mine has drain holes in the bottom of it, luckily. So there's nothing in there except for a little bit of road dust and stuff. So basically now everything just goes back in opposite of the removal. Take the coil. There's a slot on either side of the Magneto where these tabs just slide straight down in, just like that. Get the wire down in there. Then I've got a new coil that I'm going to put on here. It comes with a sleeve or a bracket. What I'll do is I'll get my screw and I'll just put everything in there backwards. What did I have? I had the coil first. I had the condenser next. I had the ground wire next, and then inside of this, again, another great shot of my hand. Sorry. And then I had the wire to the insulating block like that. Trying to get it back to where it was as much as possible. Everything's out of the way. There's really not a lot of wiggle room inside of here. Everything just kind of had a place for 60 years, and now I'm telling you it's got to move. Put in our insulating block now, just like that. That screws there. If you're doing the same thing, Seems like the best thing to do is leave everything just a little bit loose. And you can kind of manipulate the wires and tuck them out of the way. Screw for my condenser here. Hold for that. And then I have my insulating block. Now I need to get the ball bearing back in here. The only problem with that is that the ball bearing sits up, so it's hard to keep it up there. That's why. My spring, I guess so the spring can fall out the bottom. That's what happened. My spring fell out. So now what I can do is I can put the spring in the top. Right there. Do that. And then put the ball bearing inside. And then, because the spring is magnetized, which has magnetized the ball bearing, now I can take this. There's a tab at the bottom of the tumbler hole where if I can get this spring-loaded part here onto that tab, and I can spin it around, it pushes the tab in, then I should be able to push the tumbler in, like that. Yes. And then I can take my magnet off of that screw, and I can get, or I'm sorry, off of that spring, then I can get my screw, and I can screw that back down there, which puts tension back on the spring, which puts the tension back on the ball bearing. Full time. I decided to go with a little bit of sparkle. I got a clear cover. This is also from Sporty Parts. It comes with a new gasket. I'm going to put the gasket on first and stretch it out a little bit, because its stretchiness should hold itself in place. If I get the screws through the holes, and then just kind of get it on there like that. Make sure none of the wires are pinched or anything. And this one has flatheads on a front one. And what I thought was awesome about this, I didn't know anything about magnetos until I got this bike. But I guess with the points inside, once the bike is running and everything, you should be able to see the points sparking through the cover, which I thought was just kind of slick. I've got new plug wires that I'm going to be putting on. I couldn't find blue ones. I did look. I couldn't find blue. I could only find black. I got the Magneto cover on. I got new plug wires on. I also went ahead and I had gotten new plugs for the bike, so I went ahead and I stuck those in too. Yeah, so that's that part done for now, and we'll see. This is the state of the bike right now. I'm slowly getting there. Slowly getting there. So thanks for sticking around, if you did, this far while I was working on the Magneto here for the Sportster. One thing I did want to mention though, if you remember, if you've watched the first video when I was just going over the bike, I mentioned that Hawks. I mentioned that they're all Twitter pated and shit. I mentioned that I didn't have an ignition key for the bike. There is no ignition key. So I was planning on just getting a new tumbler, a new ignition tumbler and everything, and having to go through that process. And Sporty Parts does carry one. It goes for about 120 bucks. I was just about to pull the plug on it and just go ahead and just order that. When I started going through like how to get those new parts on once I got them. just looking on forums, I found like a random Sportster forum somewhere, and someone was having the same problem, and somebody on there suggested in a post, before you go out and you buy a new tumbler and all that, try to find a replacement key, and they threw up a website called Easy Keys. I had nothing to lose. I clicked on the link, and the link was still alive, which was freaking awesome, because a lot of times those will just be 404 not found or whatever, but this link was still going. The company is still going, and it's as simple as you take the number that's on the front of your tumbler, you enter that into, there's like a code on the front of the tumbler, you enter that into their search bar, and it comes up with keys that'll fit that tumbler. You don't have to worry about like, they'll cut them automatically, or I don't even know how it works. Maybe they just reach into a big bin and they just pull out the ones that have the same number on them. What I ended up doing is I ended up ordering from them. I ordered 4 keys, 2 from one manufacturer and then 2 more from 2 different ones. And of those 4 keys, 3 of them fit. So I've got 3 keys now for the Sportster ignition, which is awesome. I think they were $2 and some change a piece, and total with the shipping it cost me around $15 bucks, $20, something like that. But either way, that's cheaper than $120 for the new tumbler, for the new insulation block, for the new key, etc., etc. And that's not dissing on sporty parts or anything like that, but if you can find a cheaper option, especially if you're broke, go for it. Like I said, it's Easy Keys. If you've got a tumbler that you don't have a key for, you're trying to figure it out, and it's not just for motorcycles, it's for, when it pops up, it shows it's for like lawn tractors, it's for like tool chests, for tool boxes, anything, any tumbler that has that little number stamped on the front of it, they should have a key for it, which is awesome, and it could maybe save you a ton. So yeah, like I said, thanks for sticking around, and if you did, you got a little lanyap, a little extra. I'm still working on the tank. It's hanging, see it? That's it right there. Oh, like, it's just waiting. It's like, why have you forsaken me, Father? Father. So yeah, but anyway, I'll end it here, because I'm sure you're tired of hearing my hawks go off in the yard every year. And a little bonus, if you watch this far, if you remember in like the second or third video that I did, I kicked it on and there's hawks going. Well, those are the same hawks. It's been that long. They've come back to the yard. They've built another nest. They've had another litter, brood, or whatever the fuck hawks have. And those are the babies for this year, and the parents like still arguing it out. So yeah, fun times at Average Guy Garage. So, hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. Yeah, stay fresh, cheese bags. So this right here, that's our hawk tree. We've lived in this house for 13 years, and every single year the hawks come and they build a nest right there at the tip of my finger. There's one in it right now. Oh, you can't see it. It's like on the other side of the tree, but that's the nest. Every year. 13 years of screeching.